In 1999, the world witnessed the birth of an extraordinary story whose influence and scope continue to astound the imagination. One Piece has journeyed a colossal path. Its manga has become the best-selling in the history of the art form, and its anime series has long surpassed 1,000 episodes, becoming a cultural phenomenon. Monuments are erected in honor of this epochal saga. Theatrical productions are inspired by it, and its charismatic characters have become the faces of advertising campaigns for leading global brands. The creator of this universe, Eiichiro Oda, rightfully ranks among the best-selling authors on the planet, sharing the pedestal with literary giants such as Stephen King. The recognition and love for One Piece unite millions of people worldwide, including numerous celebrities from the worlds of politics and cinema. But what lies behind this global popularity? What profound ideas about freedom and equality does this saga carry within it? Why is it perceived not merely as a thrilling adventure, but as a serious reflection on colonialism and the value of fraternal bonds? This is what we will contemplate in our video essay. In the late turbulent 90s, Japan was experiencing a period of economic uncertainty. Hopes for a cloudless future seemed fragile, and a general sense of despondency permeated society. It was during this challenging time that Japanese animation fittingly gifted the world works like Berserk and Evangelion, reflecting the anxious moods and pessimistic expectations. However, an unyielding thirst for light and hope lived in people's hearts, and it was One Piece that became this long-awaited ray. The crew of courageous pirates, whose hearts are full of optimism and faith in a better future, became a symbol of a happy tomorrow for entire generations of viewers tired of the mundane routine. The fantastical world of the Grand Line stretches across uncharted waters, dotted with a kaleidoscope of unique islands and encircled by the majestic Red Line continent. Each location amazes with its distinctive cultural landscape and presents the heroes with unexpected challenges. It is in this alluring and dangerous world that the young monkey D. Luffy journeys, his indomitable will directed towards finding the legendary treasure, One Piece, the possession of which promises him the title of King of the Pirates. But for Luffy, this cherished goal is not merely a thirst for wealth and power, but the embodiment of absolute, unbridled freedom. Having eaten a mysterious devil fruit, he gained the incredible ability to stretch his body, which has repeatedly saved him in fierce battles. However, the aquatic element now presents a serious obstacle for him, an almost insurmountable barrier for a pirate. In his thrilling adventures, he relies on the support of his loyal companions, whose numbers steadily grow with each new chapter of their story, and each member of his crew harbors their own cherished dream. For example, the peerless swordsman, Roronoa Zoro, strives to become the greatest and strongest swordsman in the world. The talented navigator Nami is obsessed with the desire to draw a complete and accurate map of the entire known world, and the noble fishman Jinbei aims for the day when all peoples will be free from the oppression of discrimination and can coexist peacefully without fear of persecution or injustice. These sincere aspirations may seem naive and unattainable to the inhabitants of the series' harsh world, and the heroes often face misunderstanding and ridicule. However, the fearless Straw Hat Pirates are not at all fazed by this. They found their true home aboard their ship and discovered an unbreakable family among like-minded dreamers, ready to defy any obstacles on the path to their goals. Unlike many modern animated series that have transitioned to a seasonal format, new episodes of One Piece continue to be released with enviable regularity, delighting its fans weekly. The series carefully follows the pages of the manga, reproducing its events almost frame by frame, yielding to the original only in pacing and the specifics of expressive means. Just as it happens in the pages of the manga, the Straw Hat Pirates traverse the most bizarre corners of the planet, and the arrival at each new island is preceded by an impressive panorama that introduces the viewer to local landmarks, exotic flora and fauna, as well as unique cultural traditions, often inspired by real places, but infused with the unique flavor of the One Piece world. A prime example is the land of Wano, embodying feudal Japan with its noble samurai, who uphold a code of honor, and exquisite geisha, the keepers of traditional art and beauty. Each new location in the anime acquires its own unique color palette and characteristic musical accompaniment. Among the water-filled canals and shipyards of the prosperous Water 7, where legendary ships are born, you suddenly find yourself in the mysterious fog, enveloping the floating thriller bark, inhabited by ghosts and zombies. Then, majestic palaces and passionate streets of the Dressrosa Kingdom open before your eyes, where Spanish and Italian motifs are mixed under the rule of a mad king. In this dizzying world, each with its own unique atmosphere and history, you sometimes forget about the main goal of this grand journey, the search for the legendary treasure, One Piece. Important plot milestones, such as large-scale battles, are often accompanied by comments from random witnesses who act as a kind of bridge between the viewer and the dynamic world of the series. The fights themselves often become a visual embodiment of the clash of different philosophical concepts, the struggle for freedom against total control, or the confrontation between fatalism and boundless willpower and ingenuity. The spectacular nature of the action scenes is enhanced by the amazing devil fruits, which grant some characters the ability to control the elements, while others can transform into animals or even turn any objects into edible delicacies. The conclusion of particularly significant battles with a victory is often accompanied by the symbolic destruction of the architectural embodiment of the defeated antagonist's power and, of course, a noisy celebratory party in honor of the triumph. The creators of the anime series sensitively follow the evolution of the artistic style in the manga. In early adventures, the characters are depicted in a grotesque manner, with exaggerated features, naive facial expressions, invariably wide smiles, and simple, memorable silhouettes. And although these signature smiles remain an integral part of the visual style, over time, the story becomes more mature and serious. The deeper and more complex the themes raised, the stricter and more realistic the drawing becomes, and the carefree atmosphere is increasingly replaced by somber tones, especially in scenes depicting global cataclysms and tragic events. The visual expression in the series is deliberately exaggerated, which allows the viewer to adequately perceive the fantastic world with its unrealistic main character, a pirate. Oda fully utilizes artistic techniques characteristic exclusively of comics and animation, creating a unique visual language. This creative approach endows the series with a rich and eclectic expressive style. Visual solutions echo the aesthetics of classic American animation, gangster films, traditional Japanese kabuki theater, dark gothic novels, and iconic musicals. Many memorable characters are inspired by the images of famous celebrities, and the musical accompaniment subtly emphasizes the importance of percussion instruments from the very first episodes, as if foreshadowing upcoming key plot moments. The symbolic drums of liberation are not just a beautiful metaphor, but a profound indication of the work's political undertones, the relentless struggle against oppression and colonialism. At first glance, One Piece may seem like a naive and carefree story intended solely for a young audience. However, behind the external lightness of the narrative lies a deep exploration of complex social problems, from the horrors of racism and slavery to painful childhood traumas and brutal political struggles. Main key characters in the series have a heavy past that has left an indelible mark on their souls. The talented navigator Nami experienced the bitterness of slavery under the rule of the cruel fishman Arlong. The unusual reindeer, Tony Chopper, was banished from his herd due to his unique appearance. The charming archaeologist, Nico Robin, was persecuted from childhood for her knowledge of history, her existence being considered a crime. Many of Luffy's loyal companions have experienced loneliness, injustice, and discrimination, so distrust and emotional detachment have become a kind of protective reaction to a hostile world for them. The saga not only boldly raises acute social issues, but also does not shy away from depicting violence, which, in contrast to the bright cartoonish style, can seem particularly poignant. In moments of despair, the heroes are capable of self-sacrifice and even self-torture, and defenseless characters often suffer on screen. Although heroic deaths occur in the series, violence is more often shown in its unsightly and cruel form, as it was the tragic stories of the past that affected the destinies of entire generations. This cruelty is directly related to the unjust political structure of the One Piece world. Despite the abundance of colorful sea robbers, the main antagonist of the series is the powerful world government, whose goal is to maintain the status quo at any cost. To control public opinion and prevent inconvenient questions, the authorities resort to large-scale propaganda, presenting their punitive forces as pacifists, and ruthlessly erase entire chapters of history that could shake their power. Thus, the mysterious fishmen, initially shown as wild barbarians, turn out to be victims of centuries of slave trade, forced to exist in a kind of underwater district of oppression. And then the motives of those who seemed like villains become much clearer and evoke sympathy. Civilians also cannot feel completely safe. They are forbidden to study the true history of the world, and any violation of this prohibition is severely punished, as happened to the archaeologist scholars from the island of Ohara. Oda masterfully shows how the echoes of ancient tragedies continue to painfully resonate in the lives of individuals even many years later. The classified pages of history stir the imagination of us viewers, raising more questions. What is hidden behind the mysterious initial D in the names of some key characters? What is the true purpose of mysterious monoliths scattered around the world, the poneglyphs? What really happened during the tragically known Void Century? And how are all these secrets connected to the legendary treasure, One Piece? Luffy's crew behaves like true rebels, challenging injustice. They liberate entire countries from the oppression of tyrants, declare war on the world government, and dare to attack the world's elite. However, the author deliberately avoids a black and white portrayal of the world, even among pirates and government officials. There are their heroes and villains, which makes the narrative multifaceted and realistic. Simply put, there are both bad and good people on both sides. Immersing himself in the intricate conflicts of the Grand Line, Oda strives to show the possibility of breaking the vicious cycle of hatred and prejudice. Oppressed indigenous peoples actively resist oppression and occupation, and residents of individual islands and kingdoms often come to the aid of those who are willing to fight for their freedom and dignity. As in many outstanding works of animation, the answer to the world's disunity becomes strong friendship and mutual understanding. Unlike some stories, where a lone protagonist, strives at any cost to fit into a hostile society, Luffy's crew proves by their example that you can remain true to yourself and find those who share your views and values. Ultimately, we are presented with a poignant story about a young man whose main superpower turned out to be an unwavering faith in his ideals and an infectious ability to inspire those around him with this faith. And it seems that it is precisely such a bright and inspiring fantasy story that today's audience has been missing. This amazing saga demonstrates an impressive evolution from comical sketches to a multi-layered work with a sharp social and political subtext. The brilliant Eiichiro Oda has proven that while remaining within the framework of a narrative aimed at a young audience, it is possible to raise important and relevant issues while keeping the attention of millions of fans around the world for almost 3 decades. Whatever the legendary treasure One Piece turns out to be, its creator promises that it will be something tangible, perhaps a symbol of universal unity and hope. But one thing can be said for sure. In our world, both manga and the anime One Piece have themselves become a priceless treasure, a cultural phenomenon using the hearts of people of different generations and countries. Monkey D. Luffy's crew is always ready to share both the joy and sorrow of their amazing journey with you, reminding you that no one is born alone, and the most incredible dreams become reality only when dreamers like you take the helm of their own lives.